good evening, everybody. Welcome to the bonus content. I'm here. I'm not just a disembodied voice, but it's just me out in the shop tonight. This is what we do once in a while on a Friday night or Saturday night when out here working on the car, taking some photos, doing some project car stuff. Don't have the full crew here, but got to get some work done. So may as well turn the camera on and bring everybody on board. My iPad is really far away from me, so I can't really see what anybody is saying. But I'm sure you're all saying interesting things. I'm actually going to move my other light because it's blocking my view of YouTube. And I'm watching some Avengers Endgame spoiler videos. So no, I'm actually watching you guys on YouTube over here. So hey, good evening. Welcome everybody to beautiful KGRM Studios. I'm JG Pasterjack. This is the underside of our 2004 Chevrolet Corvette Z06. And as you can see, we have already removed the bottom part of the Batwing oil pan. Why, you ask? Well, we are going to install these guys tonight. These are some little oil pan baffles from Improved Racing that you might remember. Our friends from Improved Racing. They were here a few weeks ago. Don't focus on me, focus on this. They were here a few weeks ago talking about all their oil control products. These are essentially some snap-on oil pan baffles that go right up in the stock Batwing oil pan for the C5 Z06. So we are going to pop those in tonight. First thing we're going to do, so here's what you missed. We drained the oil. It was thrilling. Just loosen one drain plug and all the oil comes out. I have not changed the oil filter yet, but I have a new oil filter that'll go back on when we're finished with all this. Taking a second to just kind of wipe things down in here. And I have not read the instructions yet, but just looking at the pieces, it doesn't look that hard. It looks like they just kind of snap into place. So we're going to take that journey together while we take a few photos and do some journalist stuff. So this is kind of what it looks like when it's not sexy around here. It's just kind of me doing my job and letting you guys hang out. Yeah, Dinesh says nobody ever reads the instructions. Yeah, it's boring reading instructions. So we have a new gasket for it. We have to modify the gasket a little bit. You'll notice the gasket is blue. It matches the car. It's very pretty. So we are going to be modifying this gasket in just a couple of minutes, and then popping those things up there. I think I will actually take this time to read the instructions. Yeah, but someone wants to know where the bald eagles are at. Four of them are down here with me now. 3 of the cockatoos and one of our eclectuses. So we'll see if they want to come hang out a little bit. Okay, so there is some modifications that have to be done to this stock gasket. So let us read about that. So correctly install trapdoor inserts. No deal. So here's the guide to cutting the gasket. You can see those black areas are what we have to remove. So let's take a moment to do that now. We reorient you folks here a little bit so you can play along at home. And please, everybody, remember, this is a family show. This is demonstration only. Please, no gambling. Okay, so let's get this oriented the exact same way as our friend Andy Hollis is watching from New Zealand. Man, you've been down there for a long time. So regular viewers of the show will recognize Andy Hollis. He is on vacation in New Zealand. I too have done the tiny motorhome around New Zealand. We did North Island too. It was really one of the greatest We only spent like 10 days down there. It was like one of the greatest 10 days I've ever spent. It is amazing down there. It's like 30 hours on a plane to get to New Zealand. I highly recommend. It is one of those trips you have to do sometime in your life. So, Andy, I know you're having an amazing time down there. I am jealous. And I hope you continue to have an amazing time. So, kind of lining these up to see how much material we have to remove from the gaskets. To make all this stuff fit. These two appear to be identical, so those go on the sides. This one is going to go in the back. All right, now, so how do I want to cut this? What's it made out of? It's like plastic. Go over to the magic toolbox. You guys are quiet on YouTube tonight. Show's usually a lot better than this. Or maybe it's not, who knows? But what happened to this thing? I think I'm going to cut it with this hose cutter. I think a regular pair of snips is not the hot setup for that, because I don't want to like bow out the. So yeah, Basilo's asking, are these like windage scrapers? Yeah, so they're basically they snap up into sort of factory ribs in the lower oil pan, or actually in the engine itself. And they're just one-way trapdoors. They let oil into the pickup area, but don't let it get back out. My little cutty coming apart here. Get this. Oh, this is going to be the lose a finger on live TV night. I just know it. Yeah, so what we're doing basically is, so this is a car that can produce a lot of lateral force, and at 1G lateral force, your oil is essentially climbing the side of the pan, and you could actually, if you sustain high Gs for a long period of time, you could very easily produce a situation where you're drying out the oil pickup. So what this does is it traps oil inside that area where the oil pickup is and doesn't let it exit. So, okay. These things, by the way, are awesome. If you cut stuff with that diagonal cutters a lot, it's a very blunt blade. It's a very thick blade, and you can frequently get. I'm sure there's a term for it, but the ends kind of swell up a little bit, and it makes a little pooch out thing on the end. So these actually work a lot better for like cutting hoses and cutting soft stuff. So I highly recommend you invest in a pair of Trades Pro Cutsalls. I'm sure there's other brands too as well. All right, let's do it. Let's start to cutting. Yeah, this is harder than it looks because you can't quite get this over to the side, so we may have to clean this up with something else a little bit. Hang on, time for a picture, everybody. See, this is what doing actual journalism looks like. I manage to cut you? No, not quite. Notice how much better things are when the whole crew is here and I'm not actually working. I'm just standing up here running my mouth. Oh. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I'm gonna go back and clean those up a little bit, but I think that's good for a start. Maybe I'll I don't know what I'll do. Let's do the rest of the cutting and then we'll go back and decide. Okay, these are a little imprecise. We will make our best guess here. Going to kind of test fit this a little bit and see where we're at. All right, I see what we're doing here. I see how we're doing this. Thank you, Larry. Larry says he believes in me. I appreciate that. That's what keeps me going every week, buddy. Without you guys, I'd be just another idiot on the internet. Oh yeah, people over on YouTube now. I can't quite see the YouTube monitor from where I'm at. I will come over and see what your YouTube folks are saying in 1 second. We'll see who's checking in on YouTube tonight. How far forward do we want to put that? These are just so clever, and they're a press fit, so there's really no tooling necessary to even install the inner ones. Oh, Andrew's here from Wisconsin. So Greg asks when the exhaust stuff is happening. Well, the exhaust stuff kind of happened last week, but it didn't really work that well. So we are back to the drawing board on that a little bit. We had an issue where we put a set of headers on the car and we lost a lot of horsepower, like 10% of our horsepower. This was a set of inch and 7/8 headers. So I don't really even know where to go from there. Other than to say something was wrong, because we looked around, we looked at the data, we looked at what was coming off of the HP Tuner's data logging, and it all looked good, or it all looked normal. Everything was firing, everything was doing what it was supposed to do, and we couldn't figure it out. So we put the stock manifolds back on, and all the horsepower came back. So I don't know. I am as stumped as anybody. So we're back to the drawing board on that one. We're gonna source a different set of headers. We're gonna source some 1 3/4 headers and see how that works. So yeah, we did it the day after we did the fuel test, and we were working late, so I wasn't really able to get back on at all. that week to update those you know, do more updates. But yeah, that's what happened basically, is we bolted together and did not make any kind of horsepower. So I'm obsessing over cutting these straight, and I'm realizing these are all inside the pan. So if there is any leaking or any bypassing here, it's not gonna. It's just gonna be leaking across to a different part of the pan. So if you cut a little bit too much off of these, it's not the end of the world. I don't like the way those are though, and I don't. So in other news, while I'm doing this, I'll tell you guys that I bought, or I'm in the process of buying, a car from Carvana. You know, that's the car vending machine people, and I actually am buying a car from them and trading a car, you know, that I own right now. And they're delivering Sunday evening. 6 p.m. is my delivery slot, and I guess the way it works is I have 1 hour with the car to decide whether I want to keep it or not, and I am going to use my hour fairly strongly. I've actually already downloaded a software program for this particular car that I can get right into the computer and you know, read all of the engine parameters and all of the various car parameters. I mean, it's going on the lift as soon as it shows up. Give it, you know, a chassis inspection, look for previous damage. So I'm definitely gonna put the thing through its paces. Yeah, Andy says go live for the Carvana eval. I would love to do that, but I do not want to waste a second of my precious car evaluating time. I really just want to get in there and check the thing out as hard as I can, and then decide. And while I'm looking at their car, they have an hour to look at my car. Yeah, Dinesh says if you shake the vending machine enough, well, 2 cars come out. I'm waiting to drive by one of the vending machines, and there's a guy with his arm stuck, you know, up in it at 6 in the morning, and waiting for the security guard to show up. Yeah, I'm curious. And maybe I'm taking one for the team on this one. I know that the company itself is losing money hand over fist right now. They've had to put, like, in the last quarter, they had to put like $70 million in the company to keep it afloat. And I think for the buyer, that's good. Like maybe I can ride this wave of easy venture capital cash while the company is hemorrhaging money and just giving deals away. So who knows? And I haven't really had to pull the journalist card yet. I did once in a chat with them on the phone and online, and it doesn't do anything. So everybody's asking what kind of car. I'm not telling everybody what kind of car until I accept it or reject it. Oh wow, Jeremy, our friend Jeremy is finishing up a C5 clutch swap. Yeah, I just finished writing about C5 clutch swaps. That's going to be the next installment in the magazine of this project, is the clutch install. What a pain in the ass that is. Oh my God. So next step is going to be to actually pop these baffles in there, and I'm looking at their diagram here, and so those are centered basically, and the long end goes towards the back. Could it be that easy? I think it is. Let me swing you guys back over here and you can watch me do this other one. Because it's very exciting. Here, we'll even zoom in. So these essentially just snap up into place like so. And that's all there is to it. They're just little hinge doors, and what happens is the oil flows in, can get under the door, but if it tries to flow back out, the door closes and stops it. It's that simple. It really is that simple. Yeah, Jeremy says this is first clutch swap and it's easier than people make it out to be. It's easy if you have the right, well, I shouldn't say it's easy. So now that I've seen it done, when we did ours, we actually let a local shop handle it, and they did a great job. They're Corvette specialists. So we let them do it, and I stood there and watched and photographed the whole thing. Having seen it done now, I would do it. You know, I would feel comfortable doing it on my own. But also having seen it, I'm glad I didn't try it on my own before doing it, because there's a lot of traps that you can very easily fall into. Oh. Speaking of traps, there's a lot of traps you can very easily fall into when doing that job. That you can make things bad on yourself in a hurry. Okay, so those are pressed all the way up in there. I actually would like to tap that one back just a little bit. Let me go check our YouTube comments and grab a little tappy, tappy, tappy. So yeah, friends on YouTube, RMM2424, baffles are supposed to help with oil starvation. Yeah, they essentially keep the pickup wet at all times by not letting the oil get back out. GT Motorsports says, enjoy the live tech video, no editing, just raw footage while you're working. Yeah, these Friday night videos are particularly raw. That is the word I might use there. Pull that back off and re-seat it. I missed by just a little bit on this one. Maybe I didn't. I'll make sure those swing free before you this guy goes back here. This one's fairly obvious where it goes because it bridges a sort of sculpted piece in the oil pan. Oh, it fits very nicely up in there, actually. This might require some tapping. I'm stepping around a drip pan on the floor here, which is... You hush over there. So this stuff is all very nice press fit, and it's not going anywhere. Even if these things were to fall out, they can't go anywhere. And it's a really easy install. There's 15 bolts that hold the lower oil pan on, and it just comes right down. You don't have to take off any cross members, you don't have to take the sway bar. You take out 15 bolts. And it wasn't even stuck. I didn't even have to pry it off. It popped off, and then the gasket fell off by itself. I actually went to Walmart to get an oil filter because I didn't have an oil filter. And when I came back, the gasket had fallen off. Let us test fit our new gasket and make sure we have cut everything properly here. This is going to be the only kind of tricky part here, is keeping the gasket in place, because the gasket actually has to go, well, you know what, I guess it doesn't have to go behind that. I can just trim it back a little bit more. Yeah, because if this stuff does leak and bypass, it's not going to hurt anything. So let's trim everything back just a tiny little bit more. And that is not going to hurt us one bit. So I also, here, join me over here for more gasket trimming. We're going to trim all of these cuts back just a little bit, give us a little more clearance. That way when we put the gasket on the pan and slide the pan up into place, it doesn't have to go around any of these pieces anymore. That flew halfway across the shop. Oh, I'm getting the camera so oily. I'm gonna have to clean this camera tonight. I need to have like a crappy camera too, like a stunt camera that we just use when we are doing gross stuff. Okay, so I gotta take this one back a little more. Oh, wow, so yeah, Jeremy said ARP flywheel bolts do not work with a twin disc monster clutch. That's interesting to know. Yeah, when we put the intake on this car, we put a fast 92 millimeter intake on here, and we were not able to use the bolts that hold the valley pan on. We had to switch to a lower profile valley bolt. All right, that gasket is ready to go. So the only thing that is left, you know what? I want to clean up this oil pan a little bit, and actually have our parts washer ready to go. So we'll take you guys over there. Let me put some gloves on for this, because I don't want to get too nasty touching this camera. This is our CRC smart washer. This thing is fantastic. I never had like a good parts washer before this thing, and when we got it, I was like, well, I don't hardly ever use a parts washer. But then I realized that was because I've never had a good parts washer. I've always had those crappy little $99 parts washers, and it's better than nothing, but there's a reason this is commercial grade gear, and the stuff is awesome, and it's mild, and it's non-toxic. It uses this Aussie juice stuff. All right, here's the pan. It's been sitting here all along, hiding. It's actually it's still has a little bit of oil, and I'm going to dump it in my oil drain thingy over here. Try not to get it on the floor as much as I can. I'm going to start by just wiping it out. So I kind of freaked out when I first saw the inside of this pan, because it looks, for all the world, like there's oil shaving or metal shavings in here. And I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. And I realized it's not really metal shavings. It's literally just the it's casting flash. It's like the leftover casting slag from the casting of this pan, but you pull the pan off and like holy shit, like my engine's about to explode. I took an oil sample that we're going to send off to our friends at Speed Diagnostics on this, and I'm honestly not sure what to hope for when it comes back. I'm not sure whether I hope it says, yeah, your engine's great, you're gonna live forever, or you know what, you really need to go out and get a crate motor like today. I'm not really sure what to wish for there. All right, so you got that wiped out. Mostly concentrating on creating a nice sealing edge for this gasket. It's a dry gasket. It's not. It's like a rubber and plastic gasket, so there isn't any sealant to come off of there, any silicone or RTV or anything like that. So you just have a little bit of dirt and grit that wants to come off of there. So it's a fairly easy cleaning proposition. But it never hurts to clean. This is where we need a live band for the show. Somebody to provide some cleaning music. I'm not going to get super OCD and get this perfect, but it's not something you have off a bunch, so you may as well take the time to do it. Alrighty, let's give it a little rinsey poo here. Guess we can do this side too. Well, I think we're good. So we'll fire the compressor up and blow this out. But check out all this crud in here. I don't want to touch that camera with my. Warren says, if we get a crate motor, we'll give you $250 for the junker that's in there now. Yeah. See, that's the conundrum with LS6s is it's a great motor, but there's not a ton of places left to go with it. I did a terrible job at cleaning that. What's wrong with you people letting me get away with cleaning it so poorly? Let's go back over there. There's a whole front edge of this thing I neglected to clean off. You guys over there distracting me with your loose talk of indiscretions and tomfoolery. The sound of scrubbing. Very satisfying. All right, much better. So let's take a look at the inside of this panel. Actually, let me go fire up the compressor first. All right, loud noise. So check out the inside of this thing. Let me see if I can get the light the way you can see. See all those bumps and dots? All these little bumps and dots? That's purely just casting stuff. From when the aluminum piece was originally cast. But when there's just a layer of oil in there, and you see all these shiny little dots, you're like, "Ow, what's going on?" You actually say it in that voice. You can't help but to say it in that voice. All right, where's my air cart here? So the guys at Improved Racing are actually working on a bolt-on kit for the C5. They took our car over there for a week or so, and they're working on a bolt-on oil cooler kit that basically has, the adapter, the cooler, everything ready to go, and just bolt on. No guessing. you know, no guessing, no doing it yourself and trying to make sure you have the right length hoses and the right angle adapters and all that stuff. So we got probably one more appointment over there for them to do some more measuring. When it was there, they actually made some 3D printed bracket prototypes, and we're figuring out, you know, what size cooler they could get in the front of the car. Sorry. So what was louder actually, the compressor coming on or the air blowing around? Oh, see, the birds are all excited now. I think we are ready to pop this baby back on here. Oh, the air was the worst. That's interesting because it was quieter for me. Oh, but you know what? It was bouncing right out of the pan, right up onto my mic. So that's what you guys. You hush up over there. Everyone's a critic. How do we want to do this to make sure that everything stays on? Let me put this gasket up here one more time, just to make sure it's all going to fit. I think I'm ready to get my drip pan the hell out of here. We can clean up any messes that should crop up at this point with some white pony absorbent. All right, I think we're good. Taking a picture of what all this crap looks like. You guys ever seen actual journalism done? That's what it looks like. Except usually everybody's drunker or something. And maybe you'll be reading the magazine in a couple months and you'll be like, oh my God, I saw him when he took that photo. He looks so stupid. Tilt you guys up a little bit here. I think everything is swinging nice and freely. I think we are ready to rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we got some more YouTube comments. Let me get those. Maybe somebody's trying to warn me about a werewolf they've seen in the window. Yeah, honey says it was like tuning his TV to a channel of static. Thought they were watching a Rammstein concert all of a sudden. Oh, there it is. Where'd my oil pan go? So one thing we got going for us here is this is a very rigid gasket, and I can't really imagine a situation where once you get two bolts in there, everything's not going to line up, but I'm still going to obsessively check. Hey, if somebody wanted to be super helpful, they could maybe go somewhere and Google torque specs for these for me. no, and don't be a smartass. No, like 2 million foot-pounds. Like just, it's gonna be somewhere like, I don't know, probably 50 or 60 inch-pounds. Probably is what I'm guessing. Yeah, don't get cute. These two. I didn't see any kind of sealant or thread locker on these bolts. So I'm putting them back on dry, except for that one, which is now lost forever. Oh, Dinesh, thank you. 18 foot-pounds. That's oil pan front cover bolts. Oil pan rear cover bolts, 106 pounds. Definitely not those. Hey, our friend Dean Case is out there. Dean, good to hear from you. Look at that. It's looking like a real car again. Okay, one last bolt. Where did I want? I never picked it up off the ground. Here it is. These are going into aluminum, so I'm not going to really put much of any tension on them with the little impact here. Just running them down until they touch. And then we'll torque them with a proper torquing instrument. Yeah, that's close enough. Okay, 106 inch-pounds, 12 Newton meters. So let me. Where's my little torque wrench? All right, who's chuckling over here? Here, you want to do a show? Come on, tough guy. So the question is, this is the guy who's been laughing over there the whole time. Yes. What was it? 106 inch-pounds. We're actually doing a torque wrench test soon. We've been collecting a bunch of torque wrenches, and we have a torque wrench tester. It's essentially something we borrowed from our local Snap-on guy. He's going to want it back eventually, so we need to do this sooner rather than later, I think. But it's a electronic device for measuring the accuracy and calibration of torque wrenches, and we're collecting a bunch of different torque wrenches from a bunch of different price ranges, and we're going to see how good they are. I hate the low torque stuff. It scares me. Because that's the difference between 98 foot-pounds and 106 foot-pounds. I don't care if my wrench is calibrated that well generally, but the difference between 38 inch-pounds and stripped where you have to rebuild the entire motor, that's way more interesting to me. And it seems like the inch-pound torque wrenches, you just really have to feel for that click. Well, I'm not going to make you watch me torque all 15 of these bolts because you pretty much know what the rest of this looks like. But I will mention that our regular shows are every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. You do next Wednesday. This is going to be the 13th. We just bought a Porsche Boxster S, $8,200 for like a 65,000-ish mile Porsche Boxster S. It was the cheapest Boxster S we've seen in a long time, so of course we had to buy it. We've not really touched it yet, so we're going to bring it out Wednesday. It'll be on the show, kind of go over it, do a little Boxster buyer's guide, and our friend Tim McNair, who is a world-class concours level detail professional, going to talk to us about how to detail your new car, how to detail your old crappy car. We're going to do a little segment that I've always wanted to do called Detailing for Scumbags, which is basically, I have a track car, I have an autocross car, or I'm always hitting cones, I'm always getting tire crap on it. How do I keep it from looking like an utter piece of crap? I don't need to win Pebble Beach with it, but I need to not embarrass myself whenever I take this thing out on track. So we'll be doing that and getting a lot of really cool detail tips. The week after that, I need to confirm all this stuff, but I think we're going to have an Acura NSX up here on the lift, and maybe even have Catherine Legg on the phone talking to us about racing the NSX. Somehow we got on the local press rotation list for the NSX. So I can't wait to take a look underneath that thing and go do kind of a deep dive and maybe talk to some of the folks that race Acuras for the factory. Week after that, you know what? I could probably look at my schedule here, couldn't I? Because all the stuff is kept digitally somewhere because we're professionals. Tim McNair detailing the Porsche on the 13th. So the NSX is actually the 19th. It's a Tuesday show. Because of the way the press car rotation works, we had to move it. So that's going to be Tuesday the 19th, so a schedule change on that. On the 27th, our friend Tom O'Gorman will be joining us on the phone. There was a video going around after he won the TCR race at Daytona of his last couple of laps where he's battling with an Alfa in his Honda Civic Type R. And there's great footage from inside the car, from the TV coverage, from the car right behind him. And what we're going to do is we're going to spend the entire hour essentially going through 2 laps, because there were passes, there were repasses, there were defenses, there were attacks. So we're going to spend the entire hour breaking down that lap with Tom, kind of corner by corner, move by move, and just take a really, really deep dive into, the most intense lap of a race you can possibly run, the last lap when you and another car are contending for a win. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. April 3rd, the gang from Embry-Riddle University is going to be here, the Formula SAE team. we're going to be doing some tech stuff. I don't know exactly what yet. They might be building some dynamic models of stuff to show us different technical principles on cars. Are you doing your own show over there? What's going on? So they're going to be doing it. So yeah, lots of great shows coming up. Yeah, Autobooks mentioned the Harbor Freight wrench in the test. So here, let me show you. I mentioned this earlier. We're doing this torque wrench test coming up pretty soon. We actually have a few more torque wrenches to collect. So this is the tester. I'm afraid to even anything with the Snap-on logo just kind of gives me the willies to hold, because I'm sure this thing is more than I make in a month. But I'm looking at my stack of torque wrenches over here. We got stuff from Icon and Sonic and Griot's Garage, and yeah, of course we got Harbor Freight torque wrenches sitting around. We'll basically collect everybody's torque wrenches from the staff and whatever they're using. We're gonna probably go get a Cobalt one from Lowe's, get a Craftsman one from Lowe's or Home Depot or something, and just test a bunch of different torque wrenches. And the other thing I'm really curious about is I want to see how the torque changes with extensions and adapters. If you put a 4-inch extension on something, do your torque numbers change? If you go from a 1/2-inch drive torque wrench down to a 3/8 adapter and torque something that way, do your torque settings change, or do they still read true? So we're not going to just be comparing wrenches. We're going to be there's some other stuff that I'm really curious about working into that test. Oh yeah, somebody mentioned. Yeah, Jeremy, Husky PD 106658 digital wrench. That, yeah, we probably do need to get a couple of digital wrenches too, and see how they read. All right, folks, that's it. I'm gonna get the rest of these torqued and get these idiots to bed, and we will see you next Wednesday. Let me go check YouTube comments here one last time. Yeah, lots of comments on the torque wrench test. It is going to be really interesting. So and yeah, Thomas mentioned about the extensions, and just I mean I've yeah, the thing's sitting in my shop and I've been screwing around with it. What we're seeing is nobody is really perfectly sort of calibrated, like where the exact setting is the exact torque, but pretty much all the wrenches that we've just grabbed, whether they be the Harbor Freight ones sitting around, or in my go to the track box, or the good stuff here in the shop, or the stuff they sent, everybody's within a couple of percent. And I've done a little bit of stuff with extensions, and I haven't done a lot of really elaborate, U-joints and extension setups, but looks like it, as long as you're staying pretty close to the wrench and not extending it too much, where you're getting actual twist of the pieces, that stays pretty consistent. So if I had to predict what our findings are going to be, the findings are going to be, you're never going to get a wrench probably that's perfectly calibrated. So go get a wrench, have it tested, know how far off you are. Have it tested every 6 months, a year, depending on how much you use it, to see if that calibration changes, and just know what your correction factor is. If I was going into this project with a hypothesis at all, that's the working hypothesis that I'm kind of using. Yeah, Dinesh wants to get to one of those adapters that turns a regular wrench into a torque wrench. You're talking about the different color things that they use at the tire stores, the torque sticks, whatever they are. I think those are a myth. I think that's witchcraft. I don't know what's going on there. All right, I'm gonna button this thing up, get a new oil filter on, get some oil back in it, and then we are going autocrossing next weekend, Dixie region. kicking off the SCCA National Solo season with the annual Dixie Solo National Tour in Adel, Georgia. Looking forward to knocking some of the rust off. I've only run like one autocross this year, but then go up there and do the test and tune day beforehand and knock some of the rust off of me. The car is fine, but need to knock some rust off of this old bag of meat. So that's it. I will see you again Wednesday with the Porsche Boxster with some detailing tips. And thank you very much for joining us. The best thing you guys can do, first off, thanks to Autobooks Aerobooks for coming in and hanging out. That's the kind of great people we have supporting the show, is they are here on a Friday night watching and hanging out with you guys. So if you need a book, if you need something to read, if you need something to look at, you need something to hang on your wall, piece of collectible, check them out, autobooks-aerobooks.com. Even better, if you're in Southern California, go there because it's awesome. Also, our friends at crcindustries.com, or check them out at a major retailer near you. You know the drill. It's great stuff, but they also support our hobbies, so give a little bit back just by buying a can of Brake Clean. You're shouting out to this show, to Grassroots Motorsports Magazine, to teams like Bimmer World and other great people in this industry. And of course, our friends at Coney-na.com. I'm trying to beat some discount codes out of those guys, and I should have them within the next couple weeks. I know I keep saying that, but they are Coney. If you need some Coney shocks, don't stick around, and we'll have some Coney discounts here before too long. All right, that's it. I'm going to finish this up. Good night, everybody. If I'm talking to you, I'm not torquing things down properly, so I will quietly wander away and end the broadcast. Bye, everybody.